You know, when we think about legendary figures, we usually picture them at their peak, right? But what about the journey? Who were they before they became who they were? Today, we're cracking open an incredible collection of ancient stories that does exactly that. We're going to explore the epic journey of the Buddha in the lifetimes before he was the Buddha.
So, where do these stories come from? Well, our guide is the Jatakamala, which literally means the Garland of birth stories. And look, this isn't just some old book of fables. These are foundational tales, some over 1,500 years old, that basically map out the insane virtues one being had to perfect over and over again just to finally reach enlightenment.
Which brings us right to the heart of it all. Before he was Siddhartha Gautama, the enlightened one sitting under the Bodhi tree, who was he? Really, what kind of person, what kind of being was he? The answer, it turns out, is hidden in these amazing birth stories.
To get this, you got to know one key word: Jataka. It just means birth story, and it's this whole category of literature that details the Buddha's past lives. I mean, sometimes he was a king or a prince, other times he was an animal. But here's the thing that ties them all together. In every single one of those lives, he was slammed with a massive moral test.
So let's just dive right into one of the most dramatic tales. This is a story about a level of compassion that is just staggering. And it all starts with a prince just taking a walk in the woods. All right, so picture this. In this particular lifetime, the being who would one day become the Buddha is a young prince. His name is Bodhisattva, and he's the youngest and kind of the most thoughtful of three royal brothers.
While they're out exploring, the brothers come across a scene that is just gut-wrenching. It's a mother tigress, so weak from starvation after giving birth that she's literally about to eat her own newborn cubs just to survive. The moral crisis here is immediate, and it is huge.
Now here's what's so fascinating. His two older brothers, they just see a tragedy, but Bodhisattva, he sees an opportunity, a purpose. He realizes that his own body, which is just temporary anyway, could be used for something truly great, a completely selfless act to save these lives.
And his commitment is just absolute. First, he tells his brothers to go on ahead, because he knows they'd try to stop him. Then, he lies down right in front of the tigress, offering himself. But she's too weak to even move. So, with this incredible resolve, he finds a sharp piece of bamboo, pierces his own neck to give her his blood, just to give her enough strength to then consume his body, saving herself and all of her cubs.
Okay, wow. So if that story was about sacrificing your body for compassion, this next one, it tests the absolute limits of a promise. It's a story about a king who offers a lot more than just a pound of flesh.
In a totally different lifetime, he was King Shibi. And this king was famous for his virtue, and especially for this powerful vow he'd taken, to protect any living being, no matter what, if it came to him for help.
So one day, that vow gets put to the ultimate test. A terrified little dove flies right into his lap, trying to escape a hawk. The hawk, who's actually the god Indra in disguise, lands and makes a pretty solid point. He says, "Hey, that dove is my dinner. By protecting it, you're starving me to death." So the king is stuck, right? How can he save one life without condemning another?
The hawk offers a pretty grim deal. He'll spare the dove, but only if the king gives him an equal weight of his own flesh, cut fresh from his body. And without even hesitating, King Shibi agrees.
What happens next is just methodical and almost too gruesome to imagine. They bring out a scale. The king puts the dove on one side, and then he starts carving flesh from his own thigh and puts it on the other. But the dove's side stays down, it's heavier. So he cuts more. From his arms, his chest, he cuts away until there's almost nothing left of him, and still, the scale won't balance. So finally, in this one last act of total commitment, he moves to put his entire skeleton on the scale.
At that exact moment, the gods reveal themselves. They're stunned. They ask him, "Why would you go through all this? For fame? For money? For heaven?" And King Shibi gives them the real reason. He's not doing it for any reward. He's doing it because this act, this good deed, is a step on his path to becoming a Buddha, so that one day he can save all beings. So we've got these two just unbelievable stories of self-sacrifice. But what makes the Jataka so powerful isn't just the individual stories, it's how they all connect, weaving this single epic narrative of reincarnation.
And here it is. This is the incredible payoff. It wasn't just a random collection of lives, it was a cosmic web of karma.
Prince Mahasattva and King Shibi were, of course, the Buddha in past lives. But get this, the starving tigress he saved? She was reborn as the Buddha's own aunt. The prince's father became the Buddha's father. His brothers became other great bodhisattvas. Every single act, every connection just echoed through time.
You see, these stories aren't just about being a good person. They are a literal roadmap for a very specific, very demanding path. The path of what's known as a bodhisattva.
So what in the world is a bodhisattva? Well, it's someone who has made the most profound promise you can imagine. They are right on the edge of achieving their own final enlightenment, of breaking the cycle of rebirth for good. But they make a conscious choice to stay, to come back into the world lifetime after lifetime to help every other single living being get to enlightenment first. It's really the ultimate expression of compassion.
And these stories, they are perfect demonstrations of the qualities a bodhisattva has to build. It's these virtues but taken to the absolute extreme. The radical compassion of feeding yourself to a tigress, the unwavering generosity of giving your own flesh, the supreme effort to see it through no matter the pain, and the profound patience to do this over and over, all of it guided by the wisdom of that ultimate goal.
So what do we do with all this? I mean, these are ancient mythic stories of sacrifice on a scale that's almost impossible for us to imagine. But they're built on a really simple idea, that our greatest purpose is found in our compassion for others. We might not be called on to offer our flesh to save a dove, but these stories, they challenge us. They force us to ask, in our own lives, in our world today, what does radical compassion actually look like?